I Like the Status running Rubcum, Beanslayer, Sam I Am, and Merc Mines versus Absurge, Walter Bear, Jelly Beans, and Dota. So we have.
I don't.
What are we gonna
I'm
see
not
here?
feeling too hopeful. Yeah, I'm not feeling too hopeful for BSX in this specific matchup. I think Splyce's FLS is going to kind of just rip them apart. I don't know what. Maybe they can FLS mirror them. I don't know how well that would go for them, but
Wait. Oh.
playing a Holy Paladin, I don't think it's going to be too friendly for him
So
against Splyce.
which player on I Like the Status plays the Warlock?
Sam I Am.
Oh, Sam I Am plays a Warlock. Interesting. All right, so we have Sam I Am playing the Warlock, but I mean, at the same time, he would be playing an alternate character. He's mostly known for that mage that might give Splyce more of even more of an advantage. But Absurge, Walter Bear, and Jelly Beans has that addition of Dota on the roster, representing the Warlock for Splyce. And I Like the Status coming all the way through the qualifiers. We saw FMP out of them. We also saw Feral Priest Paladin coming out of them. So definitely proving that they have that versatility to play with the big boys here in GPL number 2. I'm excited to see this matchup.
Jelly Beans is pulling a Fabio, dude.
He's pulling a Fabio. Oh, that's true.
I haven't seen him play in so long. Literally
Yeah.
so long.
I actually watched Jelly Beans queue up with Absurge earlier on today and Dota, playing a whole bunch of different weird Hunter compositions like HLS and Hunter. I think he was playing Hunter Boomkin. This is a whole bunch of stuff that they're playing.
I was playing that with him.
So
that's not good.
It's not
Don't
good.
play Hunter Boomkin.
It looks like Jelly Beans is desperately looking for a composition with a Hunter to help give his team like that, because we haven't seen him play. I would love to see some Jelly Beans. I'd love to see some Jelly Beans play in GCD Pro League, but I don't know. So far, Hunter hasn't been the main choice for these teams. But here we go. We're going to jump into the very first game. Also, guys, make sure to follow these guys on Twitter. Those are the Twitters underneath each one of these names. If you want to see one of these guys play from their point of view, follow them on Twitter and catch their live stream. But here we go. Game number 1. All right, everybody, welcome to the Grand Arena. Of course, we have Splyce versus I Like This Status, and we do see the FLS coming out from Splyce, but it looks like I Like This Status is going to stick with the Feral Mage Paladin. So right away, I see a late game advantage go to Splyce. But here we go, the gate's
It's not even late game, really, dude. I think it's all game advantage. Just all game advantage.
Dampening starts as soon as the gates open.
I think Rubcub's going to have a hell of a time dealing with the pressure that Dota and Walter are going to output here. We can see Beanslayer moving forward, opening onto Dota. That gives Walter the opener onto Beanslayer. Pounced on him, looking for a clone. He does get interrupted, actually, by Rubcub. Rubcub sprinting in there and stopping that clone. Well done.
Wow, I love that rebuke. A little plays like that coming from Paladins, but Walter Bear is the kill target for now. He's taking a bunch of pressure. He's going to use that wall as the announces are coming in as well. Rubcub in a half fear in the meantime. This is Beanslayer's incarnation, though. He wants to get offensive, but he's getting stunned up on it. Absurge's caught in the full polymorph in the background. They want to get something done with this, but I'm not sure on who. Now Walter Bear is using that incarnation. They're swapping it over onto Rubcub. He's going to go ahead and use an execution sentence as well as the wall. Save of the Light's going to proc as well, and that's a lot of buttons being used out from Rubcub.
Yeah, he will survive, though, and it's just important to trade out for that Incarn. Interestingly enough, Dota's actually holding on to both of his Dark Souls, so he's going to be able to chain 2 Dark Souls in a row. One Rubcub's Avenging Wrath fades out, and really the Incarnation is not what you're afraid of as a Paladin. It's really the Warlock damage that you're terrified of. So now getting some interrupts out of the way. If the counterspell gets used here before the Dark Souls, Dota's just going to do so much damage. He's trying to maintain his dots here before pressing it. Full Hodge on a Walter. Absurge putting the grounding down, trying to ground that deep freeze. But deep freeze actually wasn't available just yet. So now Sam I Am lands that full deep freeze. Should be able to connect the sheep. Who are they going to go after is the question. Looks like Walter Bear is the target right now. He has a survival instincts available. Is he going to use it? He's trying to retreat back to the pillar. A bit of an overlap on interrupts on that polymorph. It should leave Beanslayer open to get a clone here. Actually still not able to get the clone. There's the first Dark Soul out from Dota. He needs to get dots with this. Definitely wants to chain them together to try and pressure Rubcubs into the ground.
Yeah, Sam I am catching a couple haunts as well, taking the pressure, but now the pressure is being swapped over onto Rubcubs. He's going to go ahead and wall right away as the rips and the dots roll in on him, and he's having a hell of a time healing through this and not casting, because at any moment he but the capacitor totem coming out from Absurge is going to stun Beanslayer and Rubcub, and that's going to force the bubble out of him. And Splyce is looking very, very confident moving further into this game. Rubcub's bubble is going to fade, and the Hodge goes out onto Walter Bear as the deep freeze lands. Full polymorph onto Absurge. They have the damage to set up on the Walter Bear. He knows he's in trouble. He's just going to line of sight and play it safe for now. Going to gate away with his entire team. Love that team synergy.
Yep, you can see Sam I am building up some icicles at the moment for the next attack, but Absurge still has his trinket. The entire team of Splyce having their trinkets are very important against this kind of setup burst comp. We can see Beanslayer actually the primary target at the moment here. Dota soul swapping some full rows of dots over onto the entire team potentially here. Actually getting Frostjawed on that soul swap, trying to deny it. It was not able to soul swap dots onto Rubcubs as a result. We can see the triple CC out from I like his status. Full sheep follows it up. Walter could be in trouble here. Dota's going to actually trinket out, spamming defensive fears at the moment, trying to deny this polymorph onto Absurge, and he's done it with that Shadow Fury. Now Absurge should be able to pick up Walter, try and rotate some of this pressure back into the face here. They need to force the Avenging Wrath out from Rubcub. Actually locking him out on that flash heal is going to put him behind a little bit more. Walter Bear leaping over and now stunning him, forcing the trinket, forcing the Avenging Wrath. And now Avenging Wrath isn't going to be available to deal with the Incarn and Dark Soul, which will be available at the same time in about 18 more seconds or 15 more seconds.
That's got to be terrifying in the place of the Holy Paladin. Walter Bear and Dota playing this game just so smart. There's the bash going out onto Beanslayer as he's pushing in with that Incarnation. I don't believe that was Berserk. That's not Berserk yet from Beanslayer, but now the Berserk is popped. He's going to get Shadow Fury on it very, very quickly. Absurge in that half polymorph, so Walter Bear is playing very, very safe. He's going to go ahead and use that wall right away. Rubcub's pushing in is actually going to get interrupted by Walter Bear, and this might be a mistake for Rubcub's pushing in, but maybe it's not. Maybe Walter Bear is the one who's scared. He's going to use that wall. Absurge's not in any CC just yet. He's going to get cycloned up relatively low as he uses that Incarnation.
Yeah, that clone from Beanslayer just saved Rubcub's life. Now clones onto Dota, and Beanslayer MVP of that shutdown. That was really Rubcub's direst moment, if that's a word. And now they're going to survive it because of Beanslayer. So Officer Bean carrying the team a little bit longer here. Rubcub still getting stunned up by Walter, not giving up the hunt here. Still dipping actually dangerously low. This could be a bop out from him. Drain Soul up, taking an immense amount of pressure. Polymorphs onto Dota, clone onto Walter, Frost onto Absurge, triple CC, and Rubcub survives.
Yeah, Rubcubs is going to be A-okay. He's doing a great job healing through this crazy amounts of pressure that the FLS is just known for pushing out. Bash goes out onto Beanslayer, and I love how Rubcubs is looking for those opportunities to push in and get those cheeky rebukes and whatnot. Hodge goes out on the Dota as Absurge is also in that polymorph. Walter Bear is all alone, and he knows that he's playing as defensive as can be. Finally, Absurge leaving the CC for now is going to top Walter Bear off, no problem. But look at the mana pool on Rubcub. He can't do this forever. These guys are going to have to set up soon. Walter Bear looking for that Cyclone is going to get interrupted by Beanslayer for now, but Rubcub's constantly being pushed in is also forcing him to take a whole bunch of pressure. Maim going out onto Absurge, Frost onto Dota, Cyclone onto Absurge. Walter Bear again is alone, but the DRs finally come in. The Hodge goes out onto Walter Bear, the Deep Freeze onto Absurge. It's DR'd, but the full polymorph lands, and Walter Bear needs the line of sight to survive this pressure from this Mage and Feral.
Yeah, Walter Bear is getting walloped. He needs a tactical bear strike to bring this game back. Looking for a clone right now, not able to connect it though. Full clone actually onto Absurge. Beanslayer doing a lot here for his team. Walter Bear in a bit of trouble, down at 30% HP. Absurge has both links available. He's just going to trade out one of those. Avenging Wrath now not available for Rubcub. He's getting pressured very hard. He has a bop available. He's going to trade that out on the bash. Try and get some heals rolling here. Well, it is only the counterspell which is actually not available. He actually gets Shadow Feared. He gets locked out. I'm not sure by who, actually. Absurge getting poly, though. They're trying to rotate some pressure around onto Walter. Someone needs to respond to this damage, I think. Can they finish him off in time? Will they be able to get the sheep? He locks him on the poly, gets the Frostjaw instead, chains that into the clone. Survival Instincts comes out from Walter here. Absurge holding onto his trinket. Despite Walter being so low, Rubcub still getting pressured at the same time. Both players in trouble. Rubcub stabilizes. Walter reconnects with Absurge, and they're going to tie this back up, stabilizing, but we're moving into 10% dampening, and that's going to favor Splyce more and more as time goes on.
It absolutely is. I have to shout out Rubcubs for his awesome play. I mean, even after getting locked out, he sees the offensive potential and gets the offensive prisms out to try to help his team get these setups. And as I say that, the MAME on the Walter Bear and the Denounce is being spammed in him as Absurge is put into those triple DR polymorphs into the full cycle. And this could be it for Walter Bear. He has that shot, he has that wall, but he's going to just catch the link from his healer. Good synergy, not overlapping those defensive cooldowns just yet. Sam I am taking a bunch of pressure from those haunts as well. Rubcubs' wings, though, should keep his team offensive and pushed in. Sam I am now put into that Hex. Can Beanslayer get him dispelled out of that? He gets him decursed. But Beanslayer now is the one who's in trouble. He's getting stunned. Save by the Light is going to happen. This is Incarnation from Walter Bear. Bean does get his wall off in time, but he's still in a lot of trouble. This is Berserk Incarnation from both Feral Druids here. Rubcub forced to bubble as Absurge is put into that deep freeze. Wall Bear could be in a lot of trouble here. Absurge at full mana, but he just can't use it at the moment. And Walter Bear, regardless of having Incarnation and Berserk up, is going to line of sight for just now. He's going to play it safe.
Yeah, we can see though Splyce has no trinkets. There's a little bit of a window here, but Rubcub's in trouble. He's going to trinket out of that stun into another bash. Walter is relentless, looking for a clone at low HP. He does get rebuked out. Rubcub with the good awareness to stop those cyclones whenever he can. At the same time, Sam I am getting pressured hard. Does get cloned up, low HP from Walter, trying to deny any healing out from Rubcub. Beanslayer building up some pressure onto Walter here. Well, are they going to go? A DR stun onto Walter, deep freeze onto Absurge. A bit of a miscoordinated effort here, and they're going to be able to stop it. They don't actually stop the polymorph. Walter could be in a bit of trouble here. Shadow Fury, though, and at the same time, Sam I am is the one that has to block. Full Fear on a Rubcub. Dark Soul out from Dota. Beanslayer in trouble at the moment, down at 39%. The block is over for Sam I am. Full stun on the Beanslayer. Trinkets out of that. His Save by the Light's going to proc. He typhoons Walter back and retreats to the defense line at his pillar here. Dark Soul going to be fading. Incarn not available for 2 minutes here, so there's about a minute-and-a-half window for I Like His Status to get a kill. No trinket for 19 more seconds. They need to make something happen with this next setup.
They have to, man. At 21% dampening, surely they'll go down. Frostjaw going out. Not even sure onto who. Polymorph lands on the Dota. Deep freeze onto Absurge. Can he follow it back up onto Absurge? Doesn't look like it as the Shadow Fury lands on a Sam I am, interrupting him at this point. He does have that one more block available to them, and Rubcub's wings are still going up, keeping his team offensive, but they need to set something up against this FLS, or they will just get rotted down slowly but surely. Walter Bear still the kill target for I Like This Status. The Cyclone goes out onto Rubcubs, and Beanslayer is getting connected to with Feral Dots, Stuns, and Haunts. But Walter Bear constantly not overlapping or not overextending. But the bash goes out into Walter. Absurge forced to trinket link, and they're going to get his last link out from Absurge. And all of a sudden, I Like My Status definitely can get a kill here. There's the MAME going out onto Rubcub as he hodges up Absurge right before that. And Walter Bear is aware and trying to line of sight these guys because he knows that when his healer's in that CC, that's when he's most vulnerable. But he has that wall coming up in just 20 more seconds, and Rubcub's mana is taking a hit as we get deeper into dampening. 27% at this point. Rubcub getting those offensive prisms out onto Walter Bear, constantly pushing back Walter Bear out of line of sight. And Absurge, if he gets put into any CC, as I say that, the deep freeze goes out onto Absurge. The Hodge onto Walter Bear. Is this the setup that they needed all game long? Beanslayer actually getting cloned up by Dota, but the Frostjaw across CC onto Dota into the cycle, and Walter Bear's alone. He's gonna wall. Can he stay alive with this wall long enough to let his healer get out of CC? Absurge comes out and drops a grounding. Walter Bear goes offensive, but Absurge's in a full clone now at this point. Walter Bear is scared out in the middle of the map. He's in a bear form. He's going to use Hellstone, but is it going to be enough? Cyclone at low health, and the DRs on Absurge are still up and available. Dota knows what's up.
Is available. He deeps him. Does he get this sheep? If he gets the sheep, it's definitely the game. Walter cannot survive. He trinkets in Defiance, pops the end card, tries to reverse this around. He's going to go down, though. Beanslayer finishing him off, and I knew as soon as those end cards came up that that game was just going to end instantly. And despite being so far behind, despite having no mana remaining, I Like His Status is going to take game number 1.
Wow, I can't believe that. Splyce just seemed like they had all the momentum in the entire world, and all of a sudden I Like This Status is just going to come out here with their CC chain. They're going to get that offensive cyclone, keeping Walter low, and the deep freeze comes off a cooldown, and that's what they needed to secure that kill, and down Walter Bear goes. I Like This Status. Feral Mage Paladin going up against Feral Warlock Shaman is going to take game number 1 here in the upper bracket. And this is a best of 5, guys. The team that makes it to 3 games, 3 wins, are going to continue on, and the team that doesn't is going to drop down to that lower bracket, and it's not a place you want to be. All right, we're going to be jumping into the next game. What, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was just trying to rhyme with you. I was trying to be a rapper with you.
Oh,
it's fine. It was nothing important.
We're not rap gods, unfortunately.
Could you imagine having to rhyme everything that you say while you're casting?
I'm gonna be honest. If someone came into World of Warcraft, specifically World of Warcraft, and commentated in just rhymes, they would be the best caster alive. Period.
Abdu can almost do it.
That would be pretty sick. That'd be pretty sick to have an Abdu commentating just rhymes. That'd be sick. Am I loud? Mute.
No, I think
Supertease.
I'm the
you're
one
loud?
that's been loud.
All right, here.
I can lower it.
No. I got you. I
Freaking-
lowered you a little bit.
I'm
'cause,
gonna
like-
lower myself too.
Okay.
All right, lowering input volume, lowering input sensitivity.
All right, everybody. As soon as this game is over, I'm going to be doing a shirt giveaway. So what you need to do to be eligible for this shirt giveaway, or when I say game, I mean this best of 5 series. As soon as this best of 5 series is done, I'll be doing a shirt giveaway. The only thing that you need to do to be eligible to get this awesome, sweet Jinx shirt, which are always themed for Warcraft or whatever you want, because you actually get to choose what shirt you want. The shirt's choices are actually found in the link below. It's a button. It's the holiday sale button for Jinx. All you have to do is be following the stream and be in chat. That's literally all you have to do. Shirt hype. I have to say, there is a Paladin shirt on Jinx's website that I actually really want. Wink, wink to Clutter for Christmas. I have to say, it looks awesome. It's like actually like the crest that we see in like the versus symbol. But here we go, guys. The next map is gonna be Dalaran Sewers. All right, what happened?
Ameno?
What?
How?
Oh, awkward. Okay, so we have to requeue, guys. Sorry, just give us a second. One of these teams have to requeue.
In the meantime,
So maybe someone who plays a
Ameno.
paladin. Hello? Who wants a paladin shirt? Someone who plays a paladin. Who would have thought? No, but for real, that paladin shirt looks sick. It really does. Ameno. Do you remember that back in the day? Tazzy Poo taking GCD8 TV.
dude, that's not back in the day. That's happening right now.
Really? Wait, Tazzy's playing?
No, but Ameno never dies.
Ameno never dies. That's right.
Ameno will live on.
So I actually did just get confirmation about that pet. He doesn't poop on the ground, but instead he leaves molten lava skid marks.
Okay, that's pooping. He's
Yeah,
made out of fire.
I mean, it's the same essence. I mean, yeah, it's kind of pooping. It's hilarious though, and I'm gonna have to need
It's
to
the
get
only
that
pet in the game that poops.
So, guys, can you please tell me what pet that molten lava corgi is? Where do I get that from? Do I have to pay for it? Where is this
I
pet?
get to pay for it. I'm gonna look in the Blizzard store right now.
He has molten lava skid marks. I'm paying for it. That sounds amazing. How to DDoS? We should be good. Yeah, no frames drop. Alright, guys, here we go. We're going to jump back into the game. And it's Dalaran Sewers. Alright. I like the status going up against Splyce, formerly known as FollowEsports. Now, if you want to know more about other esport events and stuff like that, I always recommend clicking on that Splyce button down below to see what other sweet, awesome esport events are going on right now. But here we go. Oh, it's an anniversary. I should have it.
Wait, what the hell?
What?
Playing a different comp. You don't even talk about it, man. You're too busy
Oh, I'm
talking
so
about
sorry.
Jinx shirts.
I'm sorry.
The sellout is killing you, dude.
It's killing me, man. But Beanslayer, Merkmines, and Rub Cubs, they played Feral Priest Paladin earlier on today and did so good. But is it the thing that they need to go up against FLS? That's the question. But they just won. This is a very interesting choice.
Maybe they don't think they can win on Dalaran with it, so they want to go with the Zergy comp.
Dalaran.
That's how I would think if I was them.
I mean, they've done this earlier. They did Feral Priest Paladin earlier, even when their Feral Mage, or vice versa, when their Feral Priest Paladin composition won, they swapped to Feral Mage Paladin. So I don't know. Maybe it's mind games, man.
Could be mind games. I actually don't have cooldowns for Merkmine, so if I randomly say he doesn't have Disperse, it's because I'm just trying to hype up a situation that I can't tell.
There you go. Fair enough. Here we go. Looks like Dota and Walter Bear. Walter Bear looking for an opener, but It looks like both teams are playing very, very passively at the moment. That Merkmine's looking for a fear, and he gets the Horrify instead on the Absurge. Maybe they're going onto him. The Full Hodge goes out on the Asperge out of that, and they're going Super Ham onto him. Well, Beanslayer still holding on to his Incarnation and his Berserk for now. Absurge getting out of the stun into a DR Bash, dipping down to 40% health here, but this is still not Incarnation from Beanslayer. Silence going out onto Absurge. He's trying to hold down onto his defensive cooldowns as Beanslayer is doing the exact same thing for his offensive cooldowns. Absurge using that Hellstone, healing up just a bit more, and a Sacrifice and Wall being used on a Beanslayer, but Merkmine's getting chunked down, and Disperse is going to be first, as well as Saved by the Light from Rub Cubs, and all of a sudden, they just turn that around on their over-aggression, forcing some defensive cooldowns on for Merkmines and Beanslayer, but Beanslayer is not out of the water yet. He's using that Incarnation, but he's taking so much damage. Rub Cubs put into that Cyclone now, but Absurge not safe all that yet. He's going to go ahead and get Horrified, but he has both of those links available to them. He's holding on to him like a pro.
Oh yeah, but a double fear onto the DPS, splitting up the team of Splyce right now. Absurge forced to pop that Ore Master. He should be able to top himself off. Actually getting stunned on the Ore Master. He forced to trinket, drops the link. Walter's not inside of it. They managed to kill it before he gets inside of it. If I like his status can stay alive a little bit longer, potentially the next setup, they might be able to kill Absurge with that Horrify stun silence. Full fear onto Rubcub, actually forcing his trinket at the moment here. Beanslayer rotting down, Merkmine's rotting down as well, staying back here on the pillar, maybe looking to try and overextend Absurge here. But Rubcub looks like he's really struggling to heal through this damage at the moment. Fear's over onto Beanslayer still. Rubcub trying to pick up the pace here. Full fear onto Walter, full clone onto Dota, Horrify onto Absurge. This is their last chance to strike into the full bash. Can they finish off Absurge in time? A lot of damage following it up. Rubcub bubbling for the kill into the half hodge. Can they do it into the Silent Stone form? Will he drop the link? Absurge, the ballsy man, holding on to the link here at 30% HP, and he manages to get away with it.
Dude, he got away with it. Now he has that link moving forward, which is the big freaking deal. Beanslayer being put into that Cyclone as well. Now, ooh, I love that triple fear coming out from Merkmines, but it actually does get tremored out from Absurge right away. Bash on the Rub Cubs. He's just going to bash it, or he's just going to bop that bash and continue to try to heal Merkmines through this pressure. But the Cyclone onto Merkmines, he's just going to trinket out of that. Horrify goes out on the Absurge. Denounce is connecting to him as well. He's just going to drop down in line of sight. Walter Bear just desperately peeling Beanslayer, it seems, all freaking game. And I don't know. I mean, with the Spirit Link still available for Absurge, I can't help but think that Splyce is ahead moving forward into this game. Dampening hasn't even hit, and Rub Cubs is feeling the pressure as the Haunts connect onto Merkmines and dipping down to 50% health here. The double Shadow Fury, but Absurge is in so much trouble. The Hodge goes out. The Silence. If he can get this link off, he might be able to stabilize, but the Silence is still up, and he presses the link, and he's able to stabilize for now, but he's still relatively low health. I mean, if these guys continue to connect, that could be curtains for Absurge.
I'm not sure if Merkmines has Dispersion. He's pretty low right now. Full bash onto Rubcub. He's going to bop himself out. Merkmines fully dotted. Walter looking for a cloning. Lands it onto Rubcub. Merkmines lands a double fear. Horrify onto Absurge. They need to chain the CC to finish him off. In the meantime, Merkmines forced to disperse. A full stun onto Absurge's Aura Mastery. Are they going to be able to finish him off? Doesn't look like they can. They're just in full defense mode at the moment, trying to desperately reconnect onto Absurge. He's got his trinket, but no links. Trying to get a heal off here. Trying to fake the Skull Bash. Beanslayer into the stun. Walter looking for a clone. Lands a full clone onto Rubcub. Rubcub's going to trinket out. Absurge still has his trinket, now into the Silence. He might have to use it. Dipping dangerously low here, spamming that bubble wand, trying to carry himself with some bubbles. Merkmines, though, is going to go down to Walter's Incarnation. Beanslayer not giving up, popping his own Incarn, but Absurge trinkets immediately, realizing the situation. And still, that was pretty close for Splyce. I like the status, had a lot of pressure, and because of Absurge's balls of steel, I actually think not linking that situation is what kept him alive later into the game.
Yeah, Absurge surviving through all of that and taking a W. I like the status is now tied up with Splyce 1-1 in this best of 5 series, and I have to say that Feral Mage Paladin composition seems like was a better bet for them, but I don't know. I really don't know. Alright guys, we're going to be jumping into game number 3 here very shortly as soon as we get the composition and map lock-ins and stuff like that. So if you are new to the stream, the way that the format works is that if one team loses, they actually get map and composition advantage. So they get to lock in their map before anything else. That map choice then gets announced to the winning team, and the reason why they do that is because it kind of promotes some mind games. The winning team at that point then has to see, oh, they chose this map, they probably want to choose this composition to match the map. they lock in their composition, whatever composition that may be, to try to prevent getting countered or whatever they'd like to do. They lock in their composition. That composition of the winning team then gets announced to the losing team for the losing team to choose their composition, maybe get a better advantage composition-wise. But a lot of these teams have utilized that with the 4-player roster combined with it. We see all sorts of compositions coming out from these teams, and I have to say, the Feral Priest to Paladin earlier against Method Black did so well. But I don't know. It just seemed like it was quite difficult for them to land that kill on the Absurge. Like he always had the ability to rotate through those defensive cooldowns. But Beanslayer and Dota did a great job also peeling as well. So
yeah, Walter early on in the game definitely was the peel lord. I know I liked his status. Might have the worst team name, but I like their team strategy, and they're using all 4 players, and I like that. I think it's cool, and they're willing to experiment and try new stuff. So they're not just playing the same comp, the same players every single game. They're trying to mind game, change things up. If they don't think a strategy is working for them on a certain map, they use a different comp. I think they're really trying to play into their strengths really well.
yeah, I like how we're constantly just getting little shots in. I like the status.
Their
It's hard to
team name is
commentate,
awful.
okay? It is. All right, come on, guys. We're going to jump back into the gameplay. Next map is Tiger's Peak. Welcome everybody to Tiger's Peak. It's Splyce versus I Like the Status, a tied series so far, 1-1, and we're here at Tiger's Peak, and we have an FLS versus a Feral Mage Paladin. They swapped it back over to the original composition, Feral Mages. It worked quite well for them in game number 1, but I don't know. We're going into game number 3 here, and it's been a very close series so far.
Yeah, we can see Sam I Am coming back in. I think they just didn't favor themselves with this comp on the Dalaran Arena. They're going to be able to extend the game a little bit longer here on Tiger's Peak. It's interesting that they're holding on to Tolvaron, I think, as their match point game. Potentially if it goes to game 5, which it easily could. We can see Beanslayer opening onto Dota, Walter opening onto Bean to deny him, but Sam I Am is going to lock out that counterspell. Interesting exchange early on here. Deep Freeze onto Absturge, lands the full sheep. Walter could be in trouble here as he's caught into that 1-second stun. Ice Lance unleashed. Icy Veins gets popped from Sam I Am, goes for the Frost Strike, gets locked out, lands the Polymorph instead. Can he chain the CC long enough? Sheep over onto Dota now. Beanslayer gets locked in that clone. They land the Frostjaw instead. Walter still in trouble. A lot of damage following it up. Full clone onto Absturge. Walter down to 18%. A wall used and the Trinket Link, and I Like the Status escaped that opening with so much pressure. Walter still has his in card to try and turn this around, but it's actually not looking too good for Splyce.
No walls left on Walter, man. That is so scary moving forward. Full Polymorph land on the Absturge. Dota's Demon Soul is fading as well, so I Like the Status can be pushed in super, super hard right here. Full Cyclone goes out on the Absturge out of that, and Walter Bear just needs the line of sight forever, it would seem. Denounce is even coming in from Rubcub. He's going to be put into a Fear. He's going to Trinket out of that Fear as Walter Bear is getting so low, and another Link is going to have to be used from Absturge. He wants to get offensive with this incarnation. He knows he's behind. He's going to jump right onto Rubcub, get saved by the lake, get wings as well. Beanslayer also taking a whole bunch of pressure in the back line, and Walter Bear's incarnation is going to be cloned up by Beanslayer at this point, but the spread pressure is starting to accumulate on I Liked His Status. That's such a hard name to say. Deep Freeze onto Absurge, Cyclone onto Dota, Hodge onto Walter Bear. He has a Trinket available for this, but no wall at all. Absurge still caught into that Polymorph, but Walter Bear is going to get offensive and force that Ice Block with his Warlock on Sam I Am.
Yeah, Rubcub's Avenging Wrath is going to be fading here shortly. Sam I Am doing a good job to control Dota on his Dark Soul here. He really has no dots out right now, so well done. Sam I Am shutting down that Dark Soul. Beanslayer following up with a clone. Now forcing Dota at Unbound Will actually to try and get some pressure here. Trying to deal some damage while Rubcub is low on cooldowns to heal through it. You can see Absurge with no Trinket, no Link remaining, no shield walls as well. I Like His Status are primed and ready to take this game. A full bash over onto Walter. Shadow Fury onto Sam I Am to deny the incoming sheep. A full full fear on a Rub Cub, Beanslayer actually could be in trouble. That fear is going to sit full. Dota now getting sheeped up. I'm curious to see how they're going to use the CC on Absurge here. They're going to use a Maim Stun. They sheep him off the Maim Stun. Interesting coordination from I Liked His Status, trying to go before the Deep Freeze was available. Can they keep this chain going? Half Polymorph onto Absurge. Still no Survival Instincts remaining for Walter. Quarter Polymorph into the full Frostjaw. Beanslayer trying to get a clone. Dota knows that. He's trying to deny it with the fears, and he's done it. Well done. Dota is going to break up the CC, and Splyce survives.
It looks like he's going to survive for now. Sandman catching a little bit of pressure. He's going to catch the Hand of Sacrifice and the Cyclone. Bash goes out on the Beanslayer. Haunt's connecting as well. He could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's just going to go ahead and press that wall. But does it even matter? Saber of the Light being used as well as the Execution Sentence and Wings from Rub Cub, keeping his team aggressive. Dota's Dark Soul is going to be fading here very, very shortly, however. And Beanslayer being put into that Cyclone. And looking at the defensive cooldowns of Sam-I-Am, he has that block available to him. But Walter Bear has only 13 more seconds until he has that wall available to them. And Absurge with a Trinket, he should be able to survive until then. And it looks like this game is going to go a bit later than expected. Deep Freeze onto Absurge, but nothing to follow it up. As I say that, a Frost Shot is landed by Sam-I-Am in his offensive cooldowns. There's the wall of Absurge on Walter Bear as Absurge is being put into that full polymorph. The Maim goes out onto Rub Cubs. Can Walter Bear get the Cyclone? It looks like not yet. Beanslayer is using that Incarnation and Berserk onto Walter Bear, dipping it down to 50% health here as Absurge is going to the CC chain. But he's going to be DR'd here very, very shortly, and Walter Bear should be A-okay very soon. But as I say that, the CC chain doesn't end. The full Cyclone lands. Dota into that polymorph as well. Walter Bear all alone in bear form. Going to use that Hellstone. Put into a Hodge right before that Trinket Link outgoing from Absurge is going to save Walter Bear's life just in the nick of time.
Yeah, good reaction. Incarnation available in about 10 more seconds. So Walter can do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he's just always on the back foot, so he's not able to accomplish anything on offense. He's constantly running out of line of sight here. Full bash onto Dota. I'm curious if they're going to switch targets here maybe. No, they're going to polymorph him instead. Absurge getting fully cloned. Walter popping Incarn, but he gets stunned up by Beanslayer there for a second. And now actually rotating the pressure with the Incarn onto Rub Cub, taking him down to 30% HP already as Saved by the Light is going to proc, popping that Avenging Wrath. He needs to deal with this Incarn damage. Aura Mastery from Absurge gets deep frozen. Hodge over onto Dota actually. Overlapped with the clone a little bit. They do get the sheep onto Absurge, but they need a stun onto Walter if they want to take him down here. Doesn't look like they have it. There's the Maim instead. They need to keep this chain going on Absurge. Beanslayer follows up with the clone. Dota was preoccupied trying to stop Sam-I-Am. Still doing a good job to try and deny the polymorphs. Now a full Maim over onto Beanslayer. Walter looking for a clone out of that. Lands the full clone. Leaps over onto Rub Cub. Now with no Avenging Wrath. Dark Soul out from Dota. Maybe they can force the bubble out from Rub Cub here. Now caught into the half bash. Sam-I-Am getting dispelled out of the Hex. A full clone now onto Dota. Trying to save Rub Cub's bubble, but he's forced to use it regardless. Full Hodge onto Walter. Deep Sheep lands onto Absurge, making a turnaround onto Walter. No Trinket available. Can they take him down in this little time frame? I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Walter survives the stun lock. They deny the Sheep, and Splyce stay alive.
They stay alive for now, but both of these teams, cross CC and setups, are just always getting each other's defensive cooldowns. Walter Bear pushing in again onto Rub Cubs. It looks like he wants to go onto him. Actually, Rub Cubs getting kicked there by Walter Bear. Rub Cubs potentially could be a kill target, and he knows it. He's going to position himself quite well. He's going to pull back to the pillar, it looks like, on top of Dota's port. It could be a scary position for him. Walter Bear constantly the kill target for I Liked His Status. And I have to say, I love this cross CC. There's the polymorph on the Dota. Deep Freeze on the Absurge. Full polymorph lands on Absurge now as Walter's put into that full Hodge, but the damage just didn't seem like it was there for Beanslayer and Sam-I-Am, not yet anyway. Polymorph lands on Absurge, Maim onto Dota, and Walter Bear is constantly finding himself in that 1v3 situation, sometimes even 1v0 when he's put into those full stuns, and that's the setup I Like His Status needs to be able to land a kill here. Beanslayer's Incarnation coming back in just 10 more seconds. It's going to be a very scary moment for Walter Bear, but at the same time, coming back at the same time is Walter Bear's wall.
Yeah, we can see a full bash onto Walter. Trinkets available across the board for Splyce, so they've got the arsenal to deal with this attack. Survival Instincts comes out from Walter. That's going to reduce a lot of damage here. Trying to keep the aggression, trying to force that Avenging Wrath out from Rub Cub prior to using their cooldowns seems to be the strategy for Splyce, and Rub Cub knows that. He holds on to them every time. Absurge caught into a full polymorph. Walter pulling back a little bit here. Dark Soul out from Dota, trying to force that Avenging Wrath before the end card comes up for Walter, and Rub Cub still holding on to it, trying to fake cast the potential counterspell, but he's rotting down slowly but surely. Could get caught off guard here with a full bash. He's got a bop available. He's trying to hold on to it for the end card, but Rub Cub playing it greedy. It could backfire in his face. Now he has to use bop and Avenging Wrath, which means he has nothing in his arsenal to deal with the Incarnation coming up in about 10 more seconds.
Yeah, he is a scared puppy. That Bob got purged off very, very quickly. But here we go. Hodge on the Dota. Polymorph onto Absurge into another Polymorph. And Walter Bear is all alone, as with no wall available to him as well. And Incarnation in Berserk is going to be fading for Beanslayer, but that's still going to force a Trinket Link out of Absurge regardless. Now Walter Bear wants to get offensive onto Rubcub. Rubcub does not have that bubble available to him just yet. But now he can bop, but does it even matter? The Haunts were connecting, and boom! Dota's going to go ahead and finish that kill off for his team, regardless of the bop, but crazy pressure coming out from Splyce there at the very end. Let's take a quick look at that replay as they slowly set up that kill onto Rubcub. They just positioned themselves right on top of it, and I love how Absurge, even when he was like getting CC'd throughout that, he was still sneaking in those purges onto Rubcub. They had that strategy, and they executed it well.
And Dota just splitting up their cooldowns, and I feel like in the situation there where Rubcub needed to bop and Avenging Wrath, that he had just Avenging Wrath by itself, he could have held on to the bop, and then later when Incarn came up, like right here at the end towards when he dies, it removes all the stuns by bopping himself. So I feel like maybe he could have held on to the bop, traded the Avenging Wrath instead. As a result of holding on to both, he ended up using both. So really well done from Splyce to space out their cooldowns, though, and force Rubcub to make a hard decision.
Yeah, now Splyce getting that 2-1 advantage. They only have one more game to go. One more win, and they will continue on here in GPL tournament number 2 of the GPL Pro League. And after that, we have another series as well. Cloud9 versus Tempo Storm. That's also going to be a best-of-5 series, guys. And right before that series, we do have that T-shirt giveaway, so make sure to stick around and hit that follow button to be eligible to take part in that giveaway. But I like the status versus Splyce. I like the status is just one game away from dropping down to that lower bracket to face Method Black. Or can they take 2 games against Splyce in a row, taking the whole series 3-2, and moving on, knocking Splyce down to that lower bracket. We're going to find out here very, very shortly. As soon as we get those maps locked in and compositions locked in, I will be sharing that information with you guys ASAP. And as I say that, the queue has popped, and I'll see you guys in the next map. Welcome to Ruins of Lordaeron. It's Splyce versus I Liked His Status. Beanslayer, Sam-I-Am, and Rubcub deciding to stick with that Feral Mage Holy Paladin composition here going into game number 4. Splyce, though, sticking with their guns. Feral, Warlock, Restoration Shaman. I don't know. It's like, it's pretty crazy to see. I mean, you always see the Feral Mage doing like their patented setup with their like the cross CC and stuff like that, and also the Paladin denounces and offensive pressure help them with that. But at the same time, that last game, that was a setup in itself coming out from the Feral Lock Shaman. So here we go. We're on Ruins of Lordaeron. There's nowhere to hide in this map unless you're a Feral Druid. Then you can stealth, and then you have places to hide.
Unless you're Walter. Walter could hide in a desert.
Well, yeah, it's true. Walter Bear is one of the slipperiest healers ever, or slipperiest ferals ever. But here we go. Walter going to go ahead and stun Beanslayer up on his opener. Dota coming out with a hard opener with that Demon Soul right away. Deep Freeze on Absurge. Dota's going to trinket out of that CC, though. Bash going out onto Walter Bear. But Beanslayer and Sam-I-Am are the ones who are on the back foot, taking a whole bunch of pressure. Hand of Sacrifice coming out onto Beanslayer. Rubcub actually getting swapped to, getting chunked down. Haunts connecting to him as well. Aura Mastery being forced out, as well as the wings from Walter Bear's Incarnation and Dota's Demon Soul.
Yeah, we can see Rubcub trying to deal with that with his Avenging Wrath. A fair trade on cooldown, specifically here early on. Now, Beanslayer still has his Incarnation, and he really needs to try and get Absurge's Trinket or Walter's Trinket at least with it. There's the full Deep Freeze onto Absurge. Sam-I-Am securing that Frost Jaw. Beanslayer securing the clone out of that as Sam-I-Am was locked on the Polymorph. And this is going to become an awkward situation to get that Sheep. Absurge will be able to deny it with the Wind Shear. Well done. Walter dipping down to half HP. Absurge needs to do something here. Pops the Ascendance, trying to pick him back up. Walter getting some good defensive clones here, denying the rest of that Incarnation from Beanslayer. Beanslayer, well done. Dark Soul out from Dota here trying to capitalize, and Rubcub not having his Avenging Wrath. Walter moving forward, lands that full bash. Not looking for the clone, actually gets locked out on the clone. He would have liked to get it. Now Haunt coming out from Dota as he gets put into that full Fist of Justice. Walter into the half bash. Absurge getting polyed there, but he breaks it. He was purposely standing in the orb, positioning himself very well there to break the CC. Well done.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Absurge, but regardless, is going to be put into that Cyclone, and Walter Bear is taking the damage. No wall available to him. He's going to use that Healthstone for now, and it looks like he's going to go through that CC chain unharmed, or at least alive. Dota being put into that Polymorph as well. Going to get dispelled as soon as Absurge gets out of that CC. Rubcub being put into that full Cyclone. Now Splyce wants to get offensive, but regardless of Splyce wanting to get offensive, Absurge is put into another full CC, a full Polymorph, and Walter Bear could be in a lot of trouble here, being put into a maim by Beanslayer, but Sam and Rubcub, they got to be careful. They're getting a whole bunch of spread pressure their way, but regardless, they got the Trinket Link from Absurge. They're getting those defensive cooldowns slowly but surely, but you got to see on Ruins of Orderon, the spread pressure is real coming out from this FLS.
Yeah, we can see Rubcub caught in a stun combo from Walter. Beanslayer denying that Cyclone. Rubcub really needs to get these last seconds of his Avenging Wrath to top himself off, and he's done it. Dota getting polymorphed up right now. Absurge having a hard time staying in line to dispel Dota and trying to avoid Deep Freeze Sheep himself at the moment here. Walter getting cloned up. Are they going to go with that? Clone over onto Dota. He unbound Wills, lands a triple Shadow Fury, trying to load out full dots. Absurge into the Fist of Justice, and this coordination is really good from I Like This Status, trying to rotate those stuns. And now Con of the Frostjaw. Stoneform comes out for Absurge. Dark Soul up from Dota, trying to get some pressure rolling here. Incarnation available in about 30 seconds. Rubcub on the outside, trying to recover. He's in a decent position to avoid a potential swap from Walter. Beanslayer looking for a clone, lands a full clone over onto Dota. There's the swap over onto Rubcub. He trinkets that bash right away. He's got to deal with the Skull Bash here very shortly. He needs to top himself off before that point. Here's the setup onto Walter. He's gone to that full Fist of Justice, choosing to sit through it because he did preemptively Survival Instincts. Absurge coming out of that CC should be able to pick up Walter here. Rubcub will stabilize as well. Incarnation coming up in about 6 seconds for Walter. Rubcub's going to have his own Avenging Wrath and Blessing and Protection to deal with it, so Rubcub should be feeling pretty safe right now to push forward.
I love how, ooh, there's Incarnation coming out from Walter Bear onto Rubcub's. Beanslayer hopping over, trying to peel off his Holy Paladin. Wall Annex and Wings being used for Rubcub's, and Walter Bear put into a full Cyclone. Absurge also put into that full Polymorph, and Dota in the full Hodge, but their kill target was in a Cyclone. But that was Incarnation. That was needed to happen. Sam I Am taking a bit of that spread pressure now at this point, where Rubcub's Wings should keep his team offensive, no problem. And now Absurge completely DR'd on those Polymorphs at this point. Should be okay. I love how when Walter Bear pulls back, he always pulls back and sits right on top of Absurge to try to prevent the breakage of CC with those Ice Novas coming out from Sam I Am. It's the little things like that that are really interesting coming out from both of these teams. So bash onto Beanslayer, that's DR'd, but he's still taking a whole bunch of pressure, overextended quite a bit. Deep Freeze onto Absurge, Hodge onto Dota. Walter Bear's all alone. He's going to go ahead and Trinket and get away at this point. Absurge finally leaving that CC, keeping his team completely offensive, and this game could go either way at this point.
Yeah, we can see Beanslayer trying to deny this Dark Soul from Dota, doing a good job, landing that Pounce stun, landing the full clone. We can see Incarnation still up for Dota or Beanslayer for a few more seconds. Are they going to be able to get anything else done with it is the question. Sam I Am looking for a Polymorph, and Beanslayer's Incarnation is going to fade without getting a Trinket Link out from Absurge. They're going to use the Pounce stun instead. Beanslayer overextending a little bit here, getting Typhooned on his clone. Sam I Am getting locked on this Poly, though. Full half Deep Freeze onto Absurge, into the Frostjaw. Walter into the Fist of Justice there, but Dota shutting everyone down with a Shadow Fury, securing a full Fear onto Rubcub. He may need to bubble this. Beanslayer in a bit of trouble here at 40% HP, forced to use his Survival Instincts. A full Hex over onto Rubcub now, but with both decurses, he should get out of that fairly quickly. Does manage to get dispelled by Sam I Am. Beanslayer still getting cloned up at low HP. Walter looking for maybe a potential swap. He's got his bash up and actually chooses to bash Beanslayer, who is still down to half HP. Drain Soul is channeling a lot of bursts coming out from Dota, and Walter here. Rubcub or mastering the CS. Really well done there, predicting that interrupt out from Dota, but he has to use his Avenging Wrath in this period of time where there's really no damage. Maybe they're just looking for a kill with it. He's doing a lot of damage with those denounces. Offensive Holy Shocks, forcing the Survival Instincts out from Walter. That's his last charge. Full clone onto Absurge. Potentially a Trinket Link here shortly if they can keep chaining these Cyclones onto Absurge. Doesn't look like they can. He's just going to preemptively drop the Link, and I like that safe play here. Rubcub's Avenging Wrath is going to be fading. They need to start building some pressure.
They absolutely do. And as I say that, the Shadow Fury going out onto Rub Cubs, and Sam I Am catching those haunts, taking a whole bunch of pressure. Rub Cubs put into that Cyclone. Sam I Am taking a whole bunch of pressure. Saved by the Light's going to be chewed right through, and that's going to be his second block of the game here at this point. And at 8% dampening, it's going to be hard for Rub Cub to constantly keep his mage alive through all of this consistent pressure. But here we go. I Like the Status wants to set up. They get the bash going out. Deep freeze onto Absurge, but can they line this polymorph? Sam I Am with a sweet fake, going to land that full polymorph, but it does overlap with Beanslayer's Cyclone, and now it looks like they want to do the damage on to Walter Bear. Walter Bear without a wall for just 30 more seconds is consistently going to line of sight as his healers put through the ringer there. But here we go, Incarnation coming out. He's going to get that stun over onto Beanslayer, and he wants to get some work done with this Incarnation as well. Bash going out onto him. He's going to go ahead and trinket that and stay offensive. Sam I Am without a block available for 43 more seconds is a vulnerable target, and Rub Cubs is having a hell of a time healing him through that. Rub Cubs also being a very good target. He has that bubble still available to him, but he's going to have to use it, and that's another defensive cooldown forced out from I Like the Status. And as we get deeper and deeper into dampening, these are the buttons that they're going to be needing most against a composition like Feral Lock Shaman. Absurd still in the CC though, put in the Frost Jar as Dota's cross CC'd as well. Walter Bear constantly taking the damage, but he has that wall still available to him. He's going to get the stealth stun off onto Rub Cub, but it looks like it might have been DR'd, or I'm not sure if he actually landed it or not. It looks like he just got the DR stun. And Rub Cub's wings are about to be fading, which means that his team's about to be a lot more vulnerable than normal. Beanslayer has that haunt debuff still on him as Dota is just going to town, constantly trying to keep the pressure up. As we go deeper into dampening, that's going to be a big deal. Deep freeze on the Absurge. Are they going to be able to land something out of it? Beanslayer using that wall. It's going to fade. He's going to get away here at this point. Incarnation still up, and now he's popping Berserk, and he wants to get offensive onto Walter Bear. Absurge not caught into any CC just yet. Beanslayer also catching the Hand of Sacrifice from Rub Cubs, trying to keep his Feral offensive and getting something to happen, because as later into dampening this game goes, I keep saying it over and over, this is where the FLS wants to be against a Feral Mage Paladin team.
Yeah, we can see Rub Cub struggling to deal with the damage at the moment with his entire team at half. Dota looking to load out some dots here. Rub Cub still struggling to heal through it. There's the deep freeze on the Absurge, though. Sam I Am getting out of line of sight and landing that full sheep. Absurge needs to be careful with this situation. Walter doesn't have any defensive cooldowns remaining. Nice shutdown from Dota, though, will prevent any more CC on the Absurge. Rub Cub's trading that trinket out for that full bash, popping the Avenging Wrath to deal with the Dark Soul this time around, trying to heal through the pressure, has to pop the Aura Master, gets Typhooned on the Aura Master, struggling still to heal through it. Polymorphs defensively on Sam I Am, clones over onto Walter Bear. Beanslayer getting locked out on that clone, though, not going to be able to stop any more damage. Rub Cub simply needs to deal with it. He's down at 36% HP. There's the deep freeze. Sam I Am getting out of line of sight, getting another polymorph. Can they get the trinket? Can they get the kill? Walter is going to trinket. Absurge is going to trinket. A bit of an overlap. He trinkets, he drops the link, but he's not in. He barely squeezes into the link there. Walter will survive, but that's a lot of cooldowns overlapped here. Luckily for Splyce, though, Walter's Incarnation is coming up significantly faster than Beanslayer's. If they can survive a little bit longer, they might be able to push Rub Cub over the edge.
25 more seconds, but can he survive until then? Absurge without a trinket, but that one link is the key to keeping him alive until that second Incarnation comes out. But deep freeze on Absurge, the full polymorph is going to land. Beanslayer taking a whole bunch of pressure, is going to catch the Hand of Sacrifice, bash onto Rub Cub as well. Walter Bear's in some trouble here at 50% health here, but so is Beanslayer at 21% health here. He's got to be careful. Walter Bear smells blood, Saved by the Light's going to proc, and Walter Bear wants to stay offensive, but he also wants to be safe, and you see him going back and forth, desperately trying to figure out what it is that he wants to do. There's the bop going out onto Beanslayer. That's going to get rid of all of those bleeds from Walter Bear, and Walter Bear is going to go over and just get fully cycloned up on his Incarnation. But this is where Splyce ends the game, right here, right now, with Walter Bear's cooldowns. Rub Cub without a bubble left, sitting at 12% health here. Is this going to be the game? And it looks like Walter is gonna die. Hello? The HODS goes out onto Absurge. He's at 17% health here, but the last link is gonna be used by Absurge, and he's gonna stabilize for now at 31% dampening. Can Rub Cub keep his team alive to get that setup here late into dampening?
I don't think so. With that full MAME into the half bash, Rub Cub needs to pull off a miracle to stay alive right now. Beanslayer trying to peel for his team. He gets shut down by Absurge. Rub Cub still alone in the dark. Deep freeze, desperation move here by Sam I Am. He needs to get this sheep. He doesn't manage to get it. They need some CC. Maybe they can finish Walter off. Triple Shadow Fury stops the CC, and Sam I Am will fall. No blocks remaining, and Splyce progresses in the winner's bracket 3-1.
Yeah, taking a very slow game, taking it very patient. They know where their advantage is, and they're not going to overextend. They're going to play smart and get the 3 W's and move on in the bracket as they go even further into the winner's bracket, dropping down, I Like the Status, to that lower bracket. And up next, guys, Up next, we have a pretty hype game, and I can't wait to show you what that is. But before we do all of that, everybody, we have a t-shirt giveaway. Now, if you want to know what t-shirt specifically, check out the button below, the Jinx Holiday button below, and browse through that section, because it's actually a code. It's a code to choose the t-shirt that you want. So, alright. So the only thing that you guys need to do to win this t-shirt, guys, is to hit that follow button so you're notified when we go live.